Okay, hey everyone, I am removing my old sale numbers, which were made from self-adhesive label paper, and I'm using just a plastic card that I semi-sharpened, and I'm very carefully scraping them off of my factory Kyosho Seawind sails. They are made of basically of paper. I printed them out on my printer, and I lightly sealed them with just a spray bomb, cheap spray bomb, kind of a matte coating to seal them against any water spray from the fountain or the occasional wind gust that would get those sails wet. And they've worked very well so far up to this date. But over time, the paper has a tendency to wrinkle the sails, which definitely deforms the performance of the boat, and it also hinders tuning it properly and makes a lot of wrinkles in the sail. So although I've had some good races with it, with this, it's time to replace them, because now my boat was never fully registered and sanctioned by the AMYA, but now it is, and so now I have my full set of numbers, which is still going to be 73. It's just going to be 673, and I got lucky of a gift from one of my club mates that got me some actual, and I will be replacing them with this so that I can actually sail in an AMYA sanctioned regatta this year. Anyway, I was always told that, you know, use magic marker, Sharpie, whatever, to put your numbers on there to keep the stick-ons from deforming the sails. And they were right about that. It does hinder it. But I always knew that I didn't want to ruin a set of sails, especially brand new ones, with Sharpie, because I tried removing that. There's another thread in RCG somewhere discussing that, and that was really a pain in the ass I'd never want to do again, because no matter what I tried, it was worthless. Okay, so what I do first, I'm going to scrape the paper off that has the ink on it and the paint. That's the first thing I'm going to do. I use plenty of water. The water acts like a lubricant on the this is plastic, just a keychain card, and I'm just using it to lightly scrape this off after it's been soaking. And as you can see, it does come up fairly well. Yeah, there's a lot of residue there. I've already done the jib, and this is the last set of numbers on the main that I have to do. I'm using a plastic cutting board underneath for support to scrape it against, and this card is not razor sharp, believe me. It's not razor sharp, but it does. I did dress the edge up a little bit, so it's not flat and blunt with a little knife sharpener that I got off a TV, piece of junk, but it does kind of clean the edge up a little bit and helps facilitate this a little bit easier. And I do wet my I soak this in just a tin foil tray, cooking tray, with some paper towels on the bottom of it and some paper towels over it, and as you can see, it's even getting some of the glue up fairly well as well. This takes a couple of different passes. Once I get some of the paper up, I got to soak it just a little bit again, dab it, as you will, dab it with a paper towel. And I'm trying to keep the sail flat as I can so I don't cut into the material. I certainly don't want to hurt the scrim. And it's a little bit tedious, and it is a little bit repetitive, but it does. I haven't wiped the rest of the sails off yet from the residue from before, but I really thought I was going to have to use some of my icky sticky remover or some of my other gum out remover, that kind of thing, but I think I can just wipe this with a little bit of rubbing alcohol for the little bit of residue that was left, and should be like good as new and ready for the new numbers. Like I said, this is just paper. It's inkjet printer paper that I got from Walmart. I'm in their office supply street, and created the numbers from something I found online, and did some printing on it with paint. I worked with the program in paint, and then if it was too light for my taste, which it was, I went back and hit it again, especially the black, with some permanent marker, which is another reason why I'm using water and not chemicals, because I don't want the spray paint that I use to seal it with, the clear, and I don't want the marker to run and leave a ghost on my sails, which is what I was really having a really hard time. Trust me, people, if you're going to keep your boat for a very long time sanctioned and registered, then go ahead, by all means, use the Sharpie. But, because, you know, in 5 years the sails are going to be shot and wore out anyway. If you sail as often as I do, then it's worth it, you know. But to me, not knowing from one day to the next whether I was going to stay, and wasn't even sanctioned at the time in the club, but now I'm hooked, and it's time to make a change. So anyway, that's what this is about. As you see, it's not that hard. I'm not putting a lot of pressure on here. It's just paper. I can almost peel it off. And the wind jammer, by the way, number set is supposed to be the same material as what they use on real sailboats for their numbers, so and markings and such. So it shouldn't deform the sails as bad as this paper or other vinyl numbering as far as I'm told. And they're not expensive. They're really not, for what you get. Anyway, now you got that. So now what I do is I just take me another paper towel, dip it in. You see the dry spots where the paper's dry. Come back in here. You see it turn gray because that's where the paper is, and still the glue's residue on there. Let that soak for a minute. Clean my blade. Dip it again. And proceed to scrape some more. I don't know if that's still in the view panel or not. Let me look. And I've been moving it around a little bit. Alright, I think we're still good. But anyway, the water acts as a lubricant because the sails are basically plastic or mylar or something. I don't know. I'm not a plastic chemical whiz. But as I go here, you'll see that even the glue from that particular type of self-adhesive paper almost comes up completely with just a few easy passes. Once you get the paper off that had the paint and the ink, it's not that difficult, really. I'm not using a lot of force or pressure on this at all, because I certainly don't want to rip up my new sails, which these sails now are probably a season old, but they're still new to me. And like I said, it does come off with repetitive soakings and scrapings, and it's not that bad. Not like where I was trying for days to try to clean that Sharpie out, and which the chemicals I did use, I mentioned before. I even tried OxyClean stuff. Like I said, I'm not going to rehash that thread, but they did damage the look of the sail, and they still left a ghost. So I wasn't happy with that at all. So I said, no, I'm not ever going to do that again. Once I start getting down here, like on the 3 here and some of the stuff on the 7, you can see I'm starting to get down to the scrim line. I'm not scraping the material off of the scrim, but you can see that the glue is coming off to where I can actually see the scrim. And then sometimes you gotta hit it with water and wipe the blade. This is the last set of numbers that I have to remove. I've already done the jib and the other lower star or port side of this number. Excuse me, but I haven't done the final white cleanup yet, and then I will probably add that as in pictures, still pictures, to show, especially in daylight, that how well it cleans after a wipe down with just simple 91% rubbing alcohol that I got from Walmart. Again, Poor Boys does with Poor Boys ways at the dry dock here at Hacksaw Navy Yard. So anyway, then if you get bored with it, your fingers start cramping, you just stop, go smoke a cigarette or grab a number 25 and take a break, let it soak a minute, come back at it. As you can see, really all that's left now is not paper, it's just glue residue. I always want to keep my sail wet. I certainly don't want to scar a new set of sheets. And the wetting, it also helps you to see where you missed. It shows the ridges lines, or shows, I know the video is going to be kind of a piss poor quality, but it does help you see what you've done and where you need to go back. Sometimes you have to go a little bit. Oh, I'm using the wrong side. That's why it ain't cutting. I only sharpened one side of this so I wouldn't accidentally cut my finger, in case it did get actually sharp enough to cut a tomato like they show on the TV commercial for what I bought it for. But anyway, the sharpener has been a nice sharpener though. I've been happy with the sharpener, which is what I bought it for anyway. It's not the best I've ever used. I got lots of sharpening knives, but I'm the type of guy, I don't have the skill to use a whetstone. I do use one, and I do have one, but my father's better at that than I am. So anytime I need something razor sharp, one of my hunting knives or something, or my arrow blades or something like that, I get him to do that. Any of my box cutter knives or just regular like that, I just do it myself. See, it's coming off. I don't know if you can see that or not. Maybe if I hold it up, let me try to get some of the scrap out of here. I guess you could also say a lot of people say, not only am I cheap, but I'm a little bit lazy. So, I don't want to spend a lot of time and effort doing something that should be a no-brainer. See? Almost gone. Okay, this was another 2 minutes worth of scraping. As you can see, the 7 is practically nearly invisible, gone. You can see the little bit of gray here still. That's still tacky even. With it wet, it's glue. Which will come up just with another 2 minutes worth. I don't know if you can see this. I'm trying to get it to where maybe you can see how much cleaner this is, and whatever is left, if there is any tacky, I'm pretty sure that, and I probably could wipe this and get it off with the rubbing alcohol, but I'd rather use less chemicals than necessary. And I don't know exactly, it looks pretty good. The sails look pretty good held up to the incandescent light here I have. But the true test will be in the daylight, so I'll get a couple of shots of that as well for you. It'll probably be stills though. But anyway, this is what I've done. This is why I've done it. I don't know if you can see the wrinkles caused. I am gonna keep my class insignia, which are the S's here. I don't know if I can zoom on that. But I don't know if you can see the wrinkles that the tape causes. The paper and the vinyl ones cause. I don't know if you can see that or not. If I zoom too much, I know it's going to get real pixelized. But anyway, this is what I'm trying to alleviate. This pile here is the residue of the glue after that 2-minute re-scraping. And of course you can still see a little bit of the residue, the glue residue here of the 3 still on there. And of course, if you do this on the Admiral's table, you better put a towel down to protect it, like I have. This is the section I just did. I'm trying to show it up here at the light to show you how clean it is and reflect it to the light. There's that batten. There's that batten, and here's where the number was we just removed. Alright, I'm just trying to show you how it looks in the light. This is pre cleanup. I'm gonna give it a little bit of a wipe with some rubbing alcohol before I put the new numbers down. And then here's the jib. It's just as clean. I don't know, you might even see the scrim in there in shadow. I'm trying to get that for you. Anywho, that concludes this. I will take some shots in the daylight to see exactly how well it did. I'm not happy with these battens. I'm going to replace them as well. And then the sails need a little bit more work. The tip of canoes are better at reinforcing on the grommets down here. As you can see, this stuff's starting to peel off a little bit. I don't like that. But I don't have $100 for tip of canoe sails. So we're going to readdress those as well while I have the sails off. And I'm getting some shroud work redone because that's what happened to the boat in the first place. We put it in the dry dock my last regatta. We had such good strong winds, and you can see kind of here in this shot how the paper, how it wrinkles the sails. I mean, this is supposedly flat. Okay? But the class insignia is not that big of a deal. These are class legal, though, by the way. I just like to make them the way I wanted to make them unique. You can see the wrinkles in this part of the sail really bad, but I'm told that this part of it may not be that big of a deal, so I'm going to leave them for now, just to keep it my boat. But you can see the wrinkles here. I don't know if you can see it or not. Maybe you can't, but anyway, this is time exposure, because when I put these on here, it was clean and it was flat. I did put them on here while the sails were flat and off the mast. It was de-rigged, but some of these other wrinkles here that you may see, those are still there from the factory shipping. They were nicely shipped. They were actually rolled, but as you can see the pattern too, where the numbers used to be. They're pretty clean. I'm real happy with that. So over and all, I'm happy with what I did, my choice I made. And like I said, either in Kyosho Seawind or sailboats under Hacksaw Navy. There's some other threads pertaining to this subject, as well as you can always see the rest of my videos, RC videos, and a lot of our club stuff, videos that I shot and pictures of our events on YouTube. Go to my channel, Tim McQuain, capital M, lowercase c, uppercase Q, U-A-I-M, and you'll see all my stuff that I do. Alright, well, thanks for watching. Hope this helps somebody, and if you want more, if you have questions about the products I use, or my building methods, or anything like that, or materials I use, don't hesitate to shoot me a message. I think YouTube is doing away with the private messaging thing, but you can always leave a comment, and I will get back with you one way or another. I'm on my computer like way too much, and fixing to go back on my computer again to upload all these videos. So, alright, talk to y'all later. Bye. Captain Hack saying, see ya at the lake.